Welcome back, friends. We're in Psalm 19, and I I realized I did not have a really strong conversation on the Torah, on the law. So I think I think it would be we spent quite a bit of time on creation,
Hmm.
but and we're going to go into a little bit about the the plea of the servant of the Lord. But I think we need a little time here looking at the Torah. So, can you read that part for us, Micah?
Yeah, 7 through
7.
11.
Yes, please.
All right. The law of the Lord is perfect, reviving the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. The precepts of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. The rules of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold, even much fine gold, sweeter also than honey, and drippings of the honeycomb. Moreover, by them is your servant warned. In keeping them there is great reward.
Thank you. Thank you. So, we see several ways the glory of God, in it's restated in the various terms of the law, comes to man with blessings. We see it's a testimony of the Lord, his word, capital W, which would be Christ,
Mhm.
smaller w, sacred scripture, the prophets, the hymns, right? That's the narratives, that sort of thing. They revive the soul. The precepts of the Lord, they rejoice the heart. Commandments of the Lord. So these are the different terms one can use for Torah law. We have testimony, precepts, commands. They enlighten the eyes. And David is right. It's both the physical and the spiritual.
Mhm.
A very rich definition of enlightening of the eyes. The fear of the Lord. Fear of the Lord. What does that begin? Wisdom.
Yeah.
Wisdom, which is clean and enduring forever. The ordinances of the Lord are true. They are true. We can rely upon them.
Yeah. It's wild cuz I love the just the terminology that he's using, the idea of because we so often think of rules and regulations as things that rob us of joy. But it's like the idea of healthy boundaries and realizing your life will be so much more full and joyful when you know what not to do, you know, or what's the righteous path and what's the it's just so much more fulfilling in the long run when you realize it's not something designed to make your life miserable, but it's really meant to bring more vibrance and fullness of life.
That's that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And these and it is so unusual. It's really hard in our natural walk to find
Mhm.
laws that we really don't. Yes, we will say that, okay, it's great to have a red light or whatever, but we still feel kind of imposed upon because we still want to keep going.
Right.
Okay, so our intellect will say, okay, it's probably a good thing that we all obey that law and accents, whatever, but we still feel an imposition of it. But when it comes to the laws of the Lord, that is the only time where we get if you will, a rule, ordinance, precept that is strictly for our own good. The
Mhm.
Lord doesn't get anything, right? He doesn't get in. It doesn't make him happier, nor does it make him sad in his perfection. In his humanity, of course, he was sorrowful in that, but in his divinity, he's perfectly happy. And the law is given for us,
Right.
right? To do what you said, to have a greater vibrancy and
Yeah, it gives life more meaning in my mind because it allows you to, when you get down into it more, you begin to realize kind of our connected nature, and in the viewing of all of humanity as the beloved of God, we are at our best when we're caring for one another and actually living with these righteous goals, rather than greed, we practice generosity, and rather than selfish ends, we're working more towards. I just love the idea of wholeness and fullness, like that we're more better when we're working together for our neighbor and actually loving one another rather than trying to get ahead or work the system, but
Exactly.
realizing and laying our life down, we're actually building one another up and becoming more like God.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Um, I think we will now. We'll start. I think we have a little bit of time here, but
Mhm.
we see a change, right? So we talked about creation, morality. So, moreover, by them, verse 11, is thy servant warned. In keeping them, there is great reward. But who can discern his errors? Who can discern his errors? So,
Mm.
David, realizing the frailty of his own heart, acknowledges his sinfulness, and he sees two big stumbling blocks as being a servant of God. And I think it's, of course, very perceptive of David. Hidden faults and presumption.
Mm.
Right? He talks about, where does it says? Um, hidden fault. At least in my translation, it says hidden faults.
Yeah, mine too.
And also presumptuous sins. So why does the man of the Bible think these are two big problems? Because we have a tendency to downplay our own frailties, our own ignorance, that sort of thing. And by downplaying them, we become presumptive about it.
Mm.
Because we can look to, like Micah's rightly saying, to our nearest neighbor, and we can look to our nearest neighbor and say, oh, well, he's doing X, Y, and Z, right? And that, of course, is not the measure. Our measure for right living isn't our neighbor, it's God.
Right. Yeah,
Right?
Christ.
It is Christ. So, um,
And
what
it's
is the? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh no, I like that he says hidden faults and presumptuous sins because it makes me think of how many blind spots we all have that we just forget about, or we kind of refuse to acknowledge, or we're so good at making excuses for ourselves, When we do find these faults in ourselves, we kind of find ways to excuse them or justify them so they don't matter as much or they don't seem as big of a deal. But in reality, it's like we have these very real blind spots that we have to have an awareness of from the get-go to realize, God help me, because I know I'm going to have blind spots, and then I know I'm going to make excuses for them.
That's correct. And if we can guard against these two problems, downplaying our own problems and assuming it's no big of a deal, right? That's this presumption and that, then we'll be blameless of great transgressions. David's not saying you're going to get a perfect light. He's just going to say you guard against these two areas, and you're going to avoid the big ones, right?
Mm.
People don't go out and decide to become an adulterer um, just on a whim. There were these small transgressions, that custody of the eyes or company, near occasions of sins, or the the atmosphere that can come from. So we guard against the our hidden faults and presumption. Then that gives us a much better uh, defense against great transgressions.
Mm.
All right, my friends. I think we will pick up with, well, do Mike and Karen have some practical suggestions about that? Yes, we do. Till the
Okay.
next time, Fides et Ratio.